What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Sacred Heart University Sports Media Club podcast. Hope we're all doing well. We're covering NFL, we're covering NBA, and we're covering NHL. To my left, we got Kallie, we got Kenley, and in the back, we got Justin. Welcome to our podcast. Let's get started. First, let's jump right in to some NFL. We had a lot of big free agency signings happen. Probably the most wild offseason we've ever had. Kenley, what's one free agency signing that really stood out to you?
The one out of all of them, and it's even continuing on right now. The one free agent that stood out to me, the free agent signing that stood out to me was the one with the Denver Broncos signing Russell Wilson and Randy Gregory from Cowboys, Wilson from the Seahawks. That stands out to me because I think this team is going to make a big impact in that division. That division is stacked right now, with top-tier premier quarterbacks. And not only that, there's good defenses in that division. Defenses have improved. It's going to be a lot of fun in that division, the AFC West. Another one is, before I hand it back off to you, is I got to say, what was that one? The Browns. Them signing. You got Watt. First, you had Cooper. That was gonna do some damage for opposing team's defense when you sign him. Even though their formation, how they run their offense, it's not the way maybe Cooper would want it in a way. That power I formation offense because they got two great running backs with Chubb and and Kareem Hunt. But they also, them signing Deshaun Watson makes them top tier in that division. It makes them a team that's going to be unstoppable, that looks to be unstoppable with that type of offense they have with Deshaun Watson's mobility. And you have Cooper Kupp. So, did I just say Cooper Kupp? Amari Cooper. See, I don't know. Coopers. A lot of Coopers.
Yeah, off of Deshaun Watson, he might get suspended for, the allegations, but, that's a subject we're not going to obviously touch. That's something we'll let the NFL handle. But yeah, if he's out there for at least a good amount of the year, Cleveland's going to have a really good team with Amari Cooper. It's a top back, the run game they got there, and their defense, pretty good coaching staff led by Kevin Stefanski. Yeah. Like you said, Kevin, that AFC West is nuts. That might be the most stacked division I've ever seen. You got Mahomes, you got Russ, you got Herbert. They signed so many guys. Another free agent sign I like is J.C. Jackson going to the Chargers.
That hurts me right there because you see I'm a Pats fan, But then we got Malcolm Butler to replace him, But you say the AFC West is stacked, right?
Yes.
The North, the AFC North is like the second stacked division in that conference, Because you got good premier quarterbacks over there, Imagine if Ben Roethlisberger would have stayed, you would have had him, Lamar, Burrow, Watson, So, it's really crazy the way this free agency went this year, And there's a lot of teams that might go over the hump this year, so.
Yeah, all right. So let's ask. Anyone can jump in here. Was there a free agency signing that any of you guys did not like?
Well, one that I did not like was, I gotta say, man, the one I did not like was Allen Robinson going to the Rams. The reason why I say that is because, I wouldn't say he wasn't at a good situation with the Bears. I'm not going to say, he was better. Okay, again, he needs to be way more utilized. And he was with a rookie QB with Justin Fields, who's not there yet, He's still building himself up. But it may look like it was the right move, but for the Rams organization, what do you do with Beckham when he's gone, You got Robinson to replace him, but what do you do when he comes back? Because he's also a free agent too.
Yeah.
And does this mean they move on from him? You know, they it makes me seem like they can't afford him. You know, but they went out and got Allen Robinson, so I think it looks like it's a good move for him, and it looks good for the Rams, but maybe more so like yeah, I just thought it was a good fit for OBJ, but I get it. He's injured and stuff like that, so it isn't all that bad. But I just hope it doesn't hinder the offense, because they already had lost Robert Woods, so they could add a stacked receiving core, But
Yeah, I like the move. Do I love it? No. Like you said, I don't know if they can afford OBJ at this point. And like I do like Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson has never had a good quarterback. I mean with Mitch Trubisky, who I don't think is a very good quarterback.
Bortles,
Bortles, Fields, Andy Dalton. He's had some outstanding years with some bad quarterbacks. Imagine what he can do with Matthew Stafford, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. But like you said, like OBJ was such a huge piece of their team, and the reason that they won the Super Bowl. If you can't bring him back, is it worth it? Gotta weigh your options. That's kind of up for debate. But
I'm just hoping that the team's offense is still as explosive as it was last year.
Yeah, that we'll have to wait and see. Another thing I didn't like, staying at the same position, Christian Kirk to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He got 4 years and $84 million. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He had a real good year last year. I think he had like around 900 yards. He's a solid second or third receiver, but the guy's just not. He's not a number one wide receiver. He's just not worth $21 million a year.
I get you.
I understand they gotta give Trevor Lawrence as much help as he can. He struggled as a rookie. He had a tumultuous year with the Urban Meyer thing. That whole situation, just as bad as their team was, they gotta put as many pieces around him as they can. But having bringing in Zay Jones, Evan Engram, and Christian Kirk. I mean, does it help? Yeah, but they still don't have a number one option, and Kirk's just not worth $21 million a year.
Here's something that I could combat that, like something that I could hope prove you wrong here. And like the thing is with Christian Kirk, I seen him play. He was a good second option with the Cardinals, And I think this might be this boost for Lawrence, The thing with Kirk and his style of play, he's not just a possession receiver. I see him against good corners playing it. Like I seen him go at it with other good corners, great corners. Like for example, Sherman, Alexander. I seen him get by those type of corners, made big plays over them, and I feel like he has potential to be a number one in that system. Because if you think about it, yeah, of course, you want something better. You don't want to be content with what you have right now. I'm sure the Jaguars are thinking of finding someone that's an elite level, way better, that has a way better play than Christian Kirk. Like someone like a Julio Jones, who is a free agent, right now currently, But I think it still can work because the plays that he made against great corners in his time with the Cardinals, he really made an impact as a second option. And when I looked at that, I'm like, yeah, he does have a potential to be number one. He has made big plays against those type of corners. So to me, with the Jaguars, at the end of the day, it was like, why not? Why not? Let's see if it works. So try it. It's more of an experiment to me right there.
I would agree. That's definitely an experiment. I just thought, based off what he's done, he's not worth that. I guess they're expecting him to do more than what they've seen so far. So
yeah, after seeing that,
yeah, that's definitely what they're banking on for sure. Let's talk about the draft. What do you guys think? Who do you think will be the top pick? What do you think about the quarterbacks? Give me a rundown of the guys you like and don't like going into the draft.
The draft, I'm gonna start with Julius Chestnut.
Our boy from Sacred Heart.
Yeah, free for anyone to chip in. Of course, he's not gonna be a first round draft pick, a second round draft pick, a third round, fourth round, fifth round, probably most likely a sixth or the seventh. And looking for him, I don't remember his name. I think at one point back in the day, there's just one Sacred Heart player that played football got drafted in around 6th, 7th round, but there is potential of him still getting drafted this year and in the 7th round. I see it just because, he's a really good player. He led the conference rushing yards. He can run his butt off, but like I said, the thing is, the reason why it's him going to 6th round, 6th, 7th rounds because he may have been the leading rusher, only a team been in the conference, but the conference was a weak. It was a weak conference. You got to say, the division was weak. There was not that much competition, and when they did, they were kind of subpar when they faced the tougher competition. To be honest with you, and that's part of the thing they're looking at individually, the conference that you're in with the draft scouts, and it bothers me though. It kind of bothers me, and because he worked his butt off to be here to where he was at, to be here, and I just feel like he could be a higher round draft pick, but just because he's in that weak conference, that hinders him, but to me, it's kind of bogus to me in a way. So,
yeah, that's just the way it goes. Unfortunately, in the NFL, if you're playing in the Big Ten and the Big 12 and the SEC, you're gonna get looks. If you're playing in the NEC, the Big South, any of these little conferences, you're just not gonna get as many looks.
Power 5, you're not gonna go.
If you're not, like you say, if you're not Power 5, which is why it's so impressive. You look at Deion Sanders, what he's doing at Jackson State. That's why he gets so much attention. He's Deion Sanders, but why he gets Jackson State, why it's so impressive that he's doing that with a conference. Jackson State's such a small school and non-Power 5 Compton. Looking like he might even be able to hold his own against Power 5. I mean, he stole the number 2 recruit in the country from Florida State. From Florida State. That's where he went to college, by the way. So not only is his alma mater, Florida State's a huge school. And he was it. So that's why it's so impressive. But yeah, I mean, as someone, by someone, I don't want to make it just me because all of us see him play on a daily basis since we're all students at the school that he plays for. He's fantastic. He's a great player. I think he deserves to be be a very late round pick. Of course, 6th, 7th round. I think that's fair. But I do think he deserves to get drafted. I think he deserves a shot somewhere, and I hope it gets a shot at least somewhere because he's very talented.
And I was gonna say this. What was I gonna say again? You can go back to you again. I figured out. It was something that had to do with the conference and
just how it's weak and you just won't get as many looks.
Yeah, that's what That's what hindered him. And the fact is, you come back to me later. I just can't get him out of my head.
That's all right. Let's go to some bigger names in the draft. Yeah. What do you guys think of the quarterbacks? These quarterbacks, they aren't the greatest here. What do you guys think of the quarterbacks?
Oh yeah, now I forgot what I said. You can get away with that in the NBA in the draft. You see it with Ja Morant, Damian Lillard being a top round picks. But they were at low. Their alma mater.
Ja Morant was at Murray State, right? Yeah.
And then you got Damian Lillard, Weber State, and you got Stephen Curry, Davidson. You can get away with that in NBA because individually, they look how well you score. It's just different.
Yeah, in the NBA, an individual can kind of carry a team. Look, I mean, I'm not a fan of LeBron James has, been on teams, in his prime when he was in Cleveland. That teams were very, very bad, but just having him there was able to carry them to the finals.
So
in the
when
NFL,
you do that in college.
Yeah, in the NFL, it's not like that. Just having one great player in the NFL is not going to be able to carry a team to a Super Bowl. It's just not how it works.
Yeah, that's how they do it. So yeah. Okay. The bigger names you said, right? A guy that I'm interested. See, I'm a defensive guy. I play defense in the school here, football, and I play defensive back. A key guy that I'm interested is Ahmad Sauce Gardner.
Yes.
And he says he's the best player in the draft.
He does.
And look, I think for years to come, it's gonna be a weak draft. Yeah, but in this draft, right, it's weak partly because of the quarterback play, you know, and he believes he's the best player in this draft that's coming right now, and he's a pretty good player, man. He's a damn good player, and I like how he's play. I like how he's play. I like how he plays. He plays a really aggressive. Him and Stingley both play the same kind of style and face type of corner. I could see him going one or two, not one, but two or three. You know, the highest for a corner that was picked, it was like number three overall, Detroit with Jeff Okuda, and I could see him going two. You know, but if not, somewhere top 10. You know, definitely
For
top
sure.
10. And but Aiden Hutchinson is another guy. Kayvon, you know, these are some good. There's some talent, but as for quarterback play, the by far that I'll say, if I had to rate if I had to give you four quarterbacks, rate them rate them 1 through 4. I would say number 1, Malik Willis. Number 2, Matt Corral. Number 3, Desmond Ridder, and number 4, Kenny Pickett.
Interesting. Well, why? I'm not saying it's wrong. I think a lot of these quarterbacks are projects. Probably won't be ready to start for possibly not even for a whole year. Why Kenny Pickett at 4, and why is he so low?
I seen him after seeing him a couple of highlights, seen him play. I don't see what's the deal. The big deal. He's a good pocket passer, but all these guys, the guys that I mentioned, they have the mobility. They can play from the pocket, but they also have. I just feel like they have better arm talent. You know, he did not do well against other top tier teams in his conference, the Clemsons of the world, Florida State's. Like he played kind of subpar. That's in my opinion. You know, I feel like yes, he has potential. You know, he has the tools, but I think the other QBs have better arm talent. You know, and that's just how I feel. You know.
Yeah, Malik Willis has by far the most talent. I do have it as my number 1 quarterback as well. I agree with you on that. By far the most talented arm in this class. His arm is incredible, and I have Pickett at 2. I just don't see really anything in any of these quarterback. Corral, I don't see anything in. Ritter, I don't see anything in. I don't see anything in this kid Howell out of UNC. I don't see anything in any of these kids. I see a little. I see, Malik Willis. He's got a big arm, but like my question with him is he just a flashy arm, or is he a real? Can he be a real good quarterback? There's a lot of guys who have big flashy arms. You need more than that
Reminds
to play
me
the
of
NFL.
Steve McNair.
I agree. I like that comparison. It's a good comparison for him.
If Steve McNair and Deshaun Watson had a baby, and Lamar Jackson had a baby, all three of them had a baby. Like if you see in his highlights, the way he moves around in the pocket, outside of the pocket, it's pretty good. But as for the other QBs, I can't really compare them to anything. Like some of them are just, like I said with Kenny Pickett, he's just a basic pocket passer, but which is kind of he needs to find the right team. He needs to be drafted by the right team. Honestly, that fits his style. That goes for any quarterback, you know. But I just say for sure, number 1 to me is Willis. His attitude. All their attitudes are great. The way they approach the game, I like it, and yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of good points. These quarterbacks definitely are, much more projects than franchise stars right away. We'll see how they turn out. I think, like you said, with quarterbacks need to be drafted to the right team. I think it's especially true this year, just because there's no Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, no one like that who can step in day one. Really doesn't need any competition, and can be expected to succeed from day one. I think we may not see any rookie play at all in the first year, honestly. I think they're going to all these guys should probably sit for at least quite a few games. I think that's going to conclude our NFL segment. Let's transition to the NBA. I'll throw this out to anybody. Who is name a contender in each conference? One contender in the East and one contender in the West.
Contender from the East. Contender from the West, I'm going to start with. The contender from the West, definitely Phoenix Suns.
Mm-hmm.
Contender from the West, definitely the Grizzlies. Another contender from the West, definitely the Golden State Warriors. another contender in the West, I would say is. After that, I would say maybe Dallas. That's it. Everybody is just pretenders, you know.
Yeah, you look at, Denver's banged up. Nikola Jokic should be the MVP of the league, in my opinion, but by himself, I don't think they have a deep
They
playoff
need Murray
run.
back, man. They need Murray. And,
They do. Utah, you Gobert and Donovan Mitchell, they're just not on the same page. They never are.
Yeah.
No one in the play-in scares me. Minnesota's been promising, but they won't get out of the first round. New Orleans doesn't show anything. Whoever else is in there doesn't show me anything. Spurs definitely don't show me anything. And I'm not even going to mention the Lakers. They don't deserve to be mentioned. They are absolutely terrible.
Dude,
they're not going to make the plans.
They're ass.
They're terrible. They are not a good basketball team. As for, I definitely agree with you. The top four teams in the West, definitely Phoenix, Memphis, Golden State, and Dallas. Really the only teams that have a shot to win a title. Phoenix, they've been my pick to win the finals since day one. I don't see anyone beating them. Let's throw it over to Justin. Justin, you're a big basketball guy. By the way, Justin's doing a great job in the back. He's the only guy out back there. He's going back and forth, camera, audio board. He's doing a fantastic job. Justin, who are your contenders and pretenders in the East and the West in the NBA this year?
All right, so y'all were just talking about the West side. I'll flip it over there first. So my pretender, if I had to choose one, it would be the Minnesota Timberwolves. I like their offensive play, but that's all I like about them. Defense also matters. Karl-Anthony Towns doesn't have it. He cannot play defense. Respect to him. Great guy. Great career he's having. Just won the 3-point contest. But a great offensive player. Terrible on the defense. He's a 50% center, if you ask me. Look, all of them are good, but one thing they lack is playoff experience. Like, probably the two guys that have the most playoff experience is probably Karl-Anthony Towns, and then maybe D'Angelo Russell. And D'Angelo Russell was on the Nets at that time, and even he has moments of being inconsistent. He could either hit every shot in the world or miss every shot. My contender, and this is the team that I think comes out of the West, is the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, hear me out here, because I know the Suns are favored. However, there's one thing that I think it comes down to. Forwards. I think especially looking at centers, I think Steven Adams is better than DeAndre Ayton. I think for one thing, he's bigger and he's stronger. He will box him out. He will. Steven Adams has the scariest screens in the game.
Yes, he does. Literally
a brick wall of a screen. And then I think their guards are also good as well. You have, I think the only backcourt I think right now that can compete with the Suns is the Grizzlies. Yeah, that's right. I said it. Splash Brothers are back. I know that, but Splash Brothers are also 14 and 15 with Clay. So what does that tell you? Steph Curry is out for the rest of the season due to an injury against the Celtics. I don't think he comes back the same. I don't think he's going to come back 100% after that injury. Absolutely not. But Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, now you got something looking pretty nice.
Dillon Brooks.
He's a great player.
Xavier Tillman. Then you have your bench, Zaire Williams, Xavier Tillman,
Jaren Jackson
Jr. Great power forward. Great power forward. Jersey boy, like him. He has my heart there. But yeah, I think the Western Conference Finals is going to end up being Suns Grizzlies, with the Grizzlies coming out in 7.
Oh, taking Memphis.
Okay.
I'm taking Phoenix, but honestly, I think that series will go 7. I think Memphis is really good. I know they're young, but I do think that series will go 7. Am I taking Memphis? No, I'm taking Phoenix. I picked Phoenix at the beginning of the year, and I'm sticking by that. I don't see anyone beating them this year, but I do think that will be a great series, and I do agree with Justin. Phoenix and Memphis in the West Finals.
Okay, my input on that, right? For the Western Conference specifically, before I get to the East. Before we get to the East, it's definitely gonna be Suns and Grizzlies. You know, summer games. Yep. Who do I choose? I'm gonna go Grizzlies too. You know, because Aiden is good. He's a good quality center, good quality big man. He does a lot for them in the rebounding portion of the game, rebounding section of the game, and he does what he has to do for the team. And Booker's been having a great year, even without Paul. I like how he's grown up to be that effective, that leader when Paul is not there. You know, being that guy that leads the offense without Paul, making sure things are set up, the offense is set up the right way. And to be honest, I think he should be the guy that should be locked to win MVP this year for what he's did right there, the improvement, of him leading the team. But when you look at what the Grizzlies are doing, what they did in a matter of like months, because before they were just like the 4 or 5 seed, they had potential of getting out of the first round, being a second round team, right? But the improvement when Ja's not playing, when Ja's not there, them being able to play great team basketball when he's not there. And when he is there, there's just a more explosive team. They are a box office type of team when he's there. Because John Morant, you can't lie, he's a box office player, And he's more than that. He's a good team player too also, And he has great passion for the game. I do see it going to 7, and I see the Grizzlies coming out. I think the Suns are going to be weared out by then,
That's possible. I mean, the first round, if they're playing the Clippers, not too hard, but if they're playing, let's say, Dallas second round, I think that could be a bit of a tough series for them.
Oh, yeah, Doncic's nuts. And then you have Paul George going nuts. Like, the Clippers and the Mavericks, they are good quality teams. They are.
Yeah, the Clippers could probably take them to 6 games. Phoenix shouldn't have too much trouble coming out, but I could see that going 6 games against the Clips, and then they'll go 6 or 7 against probably whoever, Dallas, whoever. You never know. Maybe by game 6 and 7 against Memphis, maybe they run out of gas, but we will see. I'm gonna name my pretender. My contender is the Phoenix Suns. I think I've made that pretty apparent. My pretender in the Western Conference, honestly, it's the Utah Jazz. They're a very good regular season team, but that's all they really are. Their 2-star players, Donovan Mitchell, Spida Mitchell, and Rudy Gobert are just not on the same page. They never really have been, especially since Gobert's whole thing right before the pandemic. I'm not saying he's like that was criminal to do. He was just joking, and just it was unfortunate how it turned out. Really, ever since then, there's always been tension. Like it seems like one day they're like, well, they're not talking to her. The next day, apparently, it seems like it smooths out. The next day, there's tension. There's always tension there. And also besides those 2 guys, I don't see a whole lot. Mike Conley's a pretty good player. Bogdanovich is a good shooter, but they don't really have enough, in my opinion, outside of Spida and Gobert. And Spida and Gobert, there's tension between them. I'm hearing Quinn Snyder might get cut loose if there's no deep playoff run. Spida could be on a trade block if they. There's just so much drama in Utah right now. They're struggling to the finish. They're trying to cling on to that 6th seed. They still could end up 4th or 5th, but they could end up being 6th or 7th easily as well. So they're my pretender in the Western Conference.
All right, in the East, contenders, I got Bucks, definitely. Another contender, pretty much it. I'm being serious here. I think everything's all over the place in the East. The East is. I'm gonna say this. When I say that, you may think it's lackluster. No, but honestly, the East has improved.
It has,
and it's a close call. The Bucks, I feel like they have a chance to have a deep go in a deep run, and also probably go to the finals and probably win and go back to back. But But anybody else, I don't know. Boston is on the come up. They just came out of nowhere all of a sudden. So I don't really trust them for sure yet, you know. Philly, we don't even need to talk about it. It's in. I'm not gonna say it's in shambles, but there's just something wrong there. There's the disconnect between Harden and Rivers there. Them blaming each other.
Right, Doc Rivers just called them out.
Yeah, and Miami got that situation there with Udonis Haslem and Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler. Another disconnect there, and basketball is a team sport. At the end of the day, it's a team sport, and when you have that, it may feel good to have these situations handled like that, but let's just hope something good comes out of it after situations like that, you know, altercations like that. But then again, I don't trust them. I don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Justin.
Justin's a eat guy.
Sorry, these situations, you know, it caused dysfunction in the team. And Butler, to be honest, I'm gonna go on a rant here. I'm sorry, Justin. I'm gonna go on a rant before I get to my pretenders and contenders. Before I get to that, the rest of it, I'm gonna go on a rant here. Jimmy Butler thinks that he owns the city. He talks a big game. I love his play. I love his attitude. I love the confidence. I love it. But when you talk a big game like that, and then you lose to a Warriors team that does not have Curry, and you're playing lazy defense, which is something you're known for, and on that play before the timeout altercation, you do something like that, you pull a stunt like that against Jordan Poole, like, it's uncalled for. He needs to play better defense, and he has to understand that Kyle Lowry came into this team because he felt that this team is a team that could go far. He felt like it was reminiscent to the Toronto team of before, like the way the team, how it was handled, the organization handled themselves, the way Piley handled the organization, the way Eric Spoelstra coached. You know, Eric Spoelstra is probably a top 2 coach in the East, you know? And he came here because he felt it was going to be the same situation. And when you do something like that, you may feel like when you have an altercation like that, Kyle Lowry himself might think this is a waste of time, you know? And I honestly feel that he's the leader, not Butler. I feel like he's the leader because he has won the championship. They got to look to him. They got to look onto him. And not only Lowry, but also Haslam. So I felt like that was quite disrespectful of Butler to do that, have an altercation with Haslam, because those 3 guys, Haslam, Spoelstra, and Lowry, they've won championships. They know what it takes. For him to think that he knows what he's doing, he can call the shots all he wants, and he knows what he's doing, think he's some big dog. I like your game, but the stuff that it's got to go. I just knew it. I knew he was gonna cause this type of drama, like he did in Philly and the Chicago's of the world. It's like I just need to think that he needs to cool it and he needs to play his role, because to me he's a survivor in this league. He's a survivor. He's not a big dog. He's a survivor, and that's what it is at the end of the day. He's not a guy he's not the guy that he thinks he is, that can call the shots whenever he wants, that knows what he's doing, thinks he could talk a big game. No, you're a survivor in the league. He needs to remember where he came from. He's a survivor in the league. And look, I love his game. At the end of the day, I love his game, but he needs to know his role. And that's what I'm going to say right there. I'm sorry, Justin, but this is something that has to be said if they want to get better. You know, it's always seems to be a problem in Miami, whether the LeBron, Spoelstra situation, the big 3. It's always a problem. They got to get things fixed before the playoffs start, or they're just gonna get tanked and they're gonna be in shambles and probably be out the first round. All right, so
that's an interesting take. Miami. A few weeks ago, I probably said that they're going to the finals. Now, I'm probably leaning towards Milwaukee. That's probably who I would lean towards. Milwaukee is my contender as well. I love Miami, but they just haven't been the same since the whole thing came out. And when you really look at it, Jimmy Butler, it seems like he's had problems wherever he's been. In Chicago, he kind of he talked his way out of there. And then he goes to Minnesota. He had the whole thing where he's holding out. He asked for a trade, and he returns to practice and was very, very immature. He goes to Philly. He's clashing with Embiid. He's clashing with the coach, Brett Brown, at the time. Excuse me. He was never a fit there. I think he's been a much better fit in Miami. Everything was going smoothly, and then all of a sudden, he has his altercation with Haslam, the bench leader of that team, and the coach Spoelstra. And so from everywhere he's been, he's caused drama. But I do think Miami's a great team. Now probably East Finals, Miami and Milwaukee. They got Giannis, who's an absolute beast. Chris Middleton, who can shoot the lights out. Drew Holiday's a great two-way player, great point guard. They're great defensively. They're great down low with Brook Lopez and Serge Ibaka and Bobby Portis. They got really good depth down low. They got the experience. They obviously they won last year, like you said, Kenley. So they're my contender. As for my pretender in the East, I'm gonna go with the Chicago Bulls.
Yeah, definitely.
The Chicago Bulls. They've played very well this year, but the entire second half they have not been the same team. They got guys out. Lonzo Ball's their starting point guard, who I don't think has been quite worth the second pick, though he is a good player. He's getting better every day. I think he's a pretty good shooter. He's a good, real solid two-way player. He's a pretty good point guard. I wouldn't say he's great, but he's good. He's been out for a while. It doesn't look like they're going to get him back. You just got Caruso back. Levine's been in and out of the lineup. And they cannot beat playoff teams for their life. They're like 2-18 or something against playoff teams in the playoff. They can't beat quality teams. They were competing for first in the East a couple months ago, and now all of a sudden they're fighting for the sixth spot. Like they're tied for fifth with Toronto. I think they have a tiebreaker, but they could easily end up in sixth. They probably will be in the top six. But so this is a team that could have been the top team in the East a couple months ago, and now they'll be lucky if they're in the top five. So, and they can't beat playoff teams. They're very young. They're gonna have this probably a championship caliber team, but in the future. But for now, they're my pretender. They probably lose in the first round.
To add on that, yes, definitely Chicago. Before we go and ask Justin his contender and pretender, I definitely Chicago, honestly, and I would like to say that with the win they're tied with Toronto currently, and honestly, I think so. If Toronto wins tonight, if the way the play-on goes, if Toronto wins tonight, they're out of the plan for sure. And I'm pretty sure the Bulls are going to be out of the plan. But to me, it doesn't matter. They're weird out. The problem with the Bulls, and I had them as a pretender too, their problem is they're too much of a jump shooting team. They're not utilizing their big men, Vucevic, in a way. I feel like they should utilize him in a way. And the dynamic with DeRozan and Levine is great, right? But they're in hopes of having this deep playoff run with those two guys in the same court together, right? And if that doesn't go well, I honestly do see Levine thinking about leaving, because I believe he's in his last year of his contract, right? So with the Bulls, and they had to find a way to make things work with Levine there, and they're too much of a jump shooting team, and they're not really a good 3-point shooting team. I'm not gonna say. I think the better 3-point shooting team in the East is Miami. They're pretty well with the corner three, and you got Hero coming off the bench, but you can't really say that with the Bulls. It's much different. But with me saying that doesn't mean that Miami's gonna come out of the East. No, But the thing with the Bulls is that they're too much a jump shooting team. They take too much jump shots as opposed to getting into the paint. Finding the easy shot. And defensively, I'd say, to be honest, they're subpar. I think they're kind of subpar. I'll take Toronto, my team over them defensively, as opposed to the Bulls defense. And yeah, of course they're not going to be in the play-on. They're not going to end up being in the play-on, but I don't think they go far. There's too much. They're going to have trouble with the top 4 teams, So yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I agree with you on Chicago. Let's go with Justin. Justin, your contender and your pretender in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Great, I muted myself. All right. Anyway, you've awoken the beast. So, let's first talk about pretender. My pretender is, I think you can make a good argument for Chicago. I do agree with that. They're not playing to the best they can. You're right. They don't beat playoff teams. They don't win when it matters. And that's definitely not something to look at. It's certainly an improvement.
Yeah.
I mean, considering how they've looked 10 years ago, this is a breakout season, in my opinion, for the Bulls. I think it only goes up from here, but it's not their year. Okay. They'll pick up some players in free agency, and then, I think they got it next year. My true pretender is, God, I'm sorry for this one, Philadelphia 76ers. They are my pretender. I didn't like...
Big take.
Yeah, it's a pretty flaming hot take, especially because I do like James Harden. I do like his game. But, come on. Like, here's the thing. It's James Harden. Whenever he has an off night, he still drops like 20 on you. But the problem is this team, every single year, has championship aspirations. Trust the process, they tell me. It's always trust the process with them. And every single year for the past 20 years, maybe 70 years at this point, process has failed. And I think this is just another example of it. You put James Harden and Joel Embiid on a team, which on its own sounds stacked to as some of the best players in the league, one of the best centers in the league, and one of the best guards in the league, are on the same team now. And, they're regular season players, I'll tell you that. They both have one thing in common. They're not that good in the playoffs. They're just not. I don't see them taking it all the way. And on top of that, they lost way too much in that trade for Ben Simmons, with the Nets, where the Nets got Ben Simmons, to basically come back from this. Yes, I know, Tyrese Maxey's a young stud. But then let's see who else you got. Ooh, Danny Green. Oh, boy. Oh, wait, is that Furkan Korkmaz coming down the bench? I'm scared now. Here we go. And then DeAndre Jordan. That's a great pickup right there. The guy who's supposed to be a rim protector ain't doing his job. One of the biggest possible downgrades you could ever have for your bench.
In all honesty, I'll take Miami over Philly to go to the finals.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I will take a majority of people over Philly. You know what? That's my contender right there. Yes. Miami Heat is my contender.
I can't complain with that.
Yeah, it's...
I can't.
Here's the thing.
I can't.
I saw
what I said.
Yeah, I saw the Udonis Haslem and Jimmy Butler altercation. And I know what they said. There was Haslem constantly repeating, "I'll beat your ass." Apparently, I think there was a rumor saying that Jimmy Butler said something like, "Oh, like Dwayne Wade carried you to a ring," or something. He basically said something like that. He's not wrong.
Especially in that 06 season.
Yeah, in that 06 season, no. What does Haslem do for that team? He is a glorified assistant coach. They are wasting cap space on the guy, for one thing. If you paid him as an assistant coach, you're not using up cap space. That's the thing. I think he'll make a great assistant coach, but he never plays. Like, the only time he plays is in garbage time when they drop off a team by 40 in the third quarter. That's when he plays. Now this altercation, here's my thing. Right now, so yes, during that time happened, they were on a 2-game loss streak, then they lost another 2, making it a 4-game loss streak. And now they're on a 4-game win streak. So does that mean that, the altercation has been resolved? Because they beat Boston. And that's, that's a team that
was a good win right there. I like that one.
That's a good win. I mean, if we're talking about a win that could bounce you back, let's talk about Boston. They've been playing great, especially in the second half of the season. I wouldn't necessarily put them as a pretender, but I don't think they're going all the way either.
Yeah, they're on the fence.
Yeah, they're on the fence.
Losing Robert Williams is a big loss.
It's a massive.
He does a lot for that team, defensively, rebounding, inside scoring.
He was there, I would not have him go. That team go far.
That's a good point.
I just, even if he was there, I just see something with Boston. There's something that's gonna. They get there, They get there, it's like, yeah, we're getting there. Something just happens at the end, you know. And with Miami, and Philly, like the difference is that I like the structure of the way the Miami Heat, the organization, the way they run it as opposed to Philly. It's always trust the process with them, and then all something things like Ben's. Then they have situations with the Ben Simmons situation, you know, and then you have James Harden not playing up to par, you know. And I'm gonna say if they do not perform well this year, Justin and Jake, I think this is it for Doc Rivers. I'm gonna start questioning that because I'm gonna actually mock him here. Watch this. Here's a great Doc Rivers percentage. You know, I'm just gonna have to blame. The heat is on James Harden here. Because we paid him. We actually called for him instead of Ben. And I can't pick on Ben now. But now I gotta pick on Harden because we asked for him instead of him, right? And he's not doing what we offered him to do. You know, he's the guy that's supposed to be that. He's supposed to be our guy. You know, he's supposed to be the guy that's clutch down the stretch. But the silly turnovers, I don't really. I don't understand. The heat is on James Harden here, and the too many turnovers. Yeah, I'm not liking it. The way he's not the pick and roll situation. His offense is the Luka offense, which is good, but he definitely ain't no Luka here, and because it doesn't look like it, because what he's doing here, the turnovers, the too many shots that he's taking, I quite frankly, it's uncalled for. It's blasphemous. I can't lose my job here, and I just got here from L.A. here, and it's uncalled for. It's blasphemous, and he is on Harden. I can't see why people are not looking at this situation. You guys get what I'm saying, right?
That was pretty good.
You know, so definitely, we got to start looking at Doc Rivers. He's fallen off as being a top tier head coach ever since Boston. He has left there, and you know, it's really unfortunate, and that's just a fact. You know, when he got to Philly, things have been shambled, especially before that with the Clippers situation with Paul George, and he's came in a losing situation. I could do another impersonation of his time in LA. Watch this, guys, right here. This is funny. PG, you stunk up the joint in that playoff game. You stunk up the joint. But now all of a sudden he wants to play really good again when I'm gone. But when I was playing, he stunk up the joint in that game 6, in that game 7. It was completely uncalled for. You know, Kawhi, where are you? Where were you? Kawhi, say something. Come on. I can't lose my job here. No. You see, I don't think we should stay in LA now, you know. Maybe we should go to Maine, you know. How about because if you take all this flashy stuff, that will help us out, you know. We'll be a much more structured organization here, and yes, most definitely, and definitely most blame is PG-13. All right, so he stunk up the damn joint. He stinked. He just flat out stunk. All right, like skunk. All right, so please, I need my job here. I definitely need my job here. You know what I did in Boston, leading a premier Big 3 team over there with Paul George. No, not Paul George. He stunk up the joint. No, it was Paul Pierce. Oh, he's better than Paul George. Oh man, I gotta tell you, man. You see what he did? When I was there, won Game 6 against the Lakers. You saw what he did? Come on, man. Come on, my resume speaks for itself. I can't lose my job. So, you know what I'm saying? So, it's unfortunate, but he's fallen off, and the heat is on him as opposed to James Harden. He just got it. So, that's what I'm saying there. Definitely, you're right, Justin. Pretenders, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of the heat is on, this Miami Heat. So, here's why the Miami Heat are my contenders. First of all, love the Doc Rivers impression. That was amazing.
Pretty good. That was pretty dang good.
But first of all, here's why I like the Heat. For one thing, when you look at the East, you need to look at teams that are the most balanced. Like, what like if I look at it, I really cannot think of a part of the Heat that stand out the most because everything there is good. Because Jimmy Butler, yeah, attitude, trash talker, hothead, great small forward. Great small forward. Guy can't shoot for his life, but he backs it up with some with some at least good inside shooting and excellent defense. And then you have recently what the Heat have been doing is that they've been moving Duncan Robinson to the bench, and they've been starting Max Strus. When the hell have you guys ever heard of Max Strus before now? He is having a breakout year.
That guy just came out of nowhere shooting.
Yeah, he did. I think he started on the Celtics, like undrafted, and then he just comes out of nowhere. You're right.
The guy doesn't look like a premier NBA athlete with his size, but like when you think about it, he's making a plays. The game against Toronto, against my team, it was horrendous to go against. We looked pretty horrendous trying to stop the corner three. Like when we want to, we could stop that corner three, but we could not stop it against Miami. He was just lights out.
Yeah, it's a challenge really because he can play. He can really he knows how to shoot, and I think he's certainly an upgrade from Duncan Robinson this year. And I think the only reason why it took him so long to get a starting role is because they overpaid Duncan Robinson. Because for anybody who doesn't watch the Heat, here's what Duncan Robinson does. He gets an impeccable screen by Bam Adebayo, gets a wide open shot, and misses it.
Not the same player.
Yeah, no, he's not the same player. And there's a difference. If he's shooting these, double teamed he's double teamed, he's shooting those, and he misses, okay. I'm not going to expect you to make those. But I am going to expect you to make a wide open three with $90 million, at least consistently. You don't need to be 100%, but you got to at least be.
Isn't he also undrafted?
I believe he was also undrafted.
And that's crazy, with falling off of one guy, but a guy that's undrafted,
it's insane. Tyler Hero is the sixth man of the year, undisputed. I think you can make an argument for Jordan Poole, absolutely, but Tyler Hero's just been so much better. There has been so many times to where if the starters have not been playing well, Tyler Hero will just walk off the bench, just drop 20, and save that game for them.
In all honesty, he should start.
He should.
If you take Robinson away, if you release Robinson and you have Hero start and have 31 for
he really should. He's definitely proven himself enough to deserve it. That's why I don't entirely agree with Max Strus starting because he's a great player, but Tyler Hero's proven himself and he's certainly a lot better. Like that guy's almost a magician at this point where he just comes out and just shoots a three out of nowhere. Looking even deeper into the bench, Gabe Vincent, another breakout year. Who else? Omer freaking Yurtseven. My boy, hitting me straight in the heart. This guy, when Bam Adebayo and Dwayne Dedmon out, played fantastic. He was so good. And I could see that they're starting to slowly give him more minutes, which I hope they do. He should be the backup for Bam Adebayo at this point. But basically what I'm trying to say here is this. They have the best defense in the league, without a doubt. And they also have the best depth in the league. Best bench in the league. I don't think it could really be heavily contested with that. And that's why I can see them taking it to the Bucks. Once again, in 7 in the Eastern Conference. I think they do come out on top. I think in the 4 times they've played, I think Miami's like 3-1. They're either 2-2. But still. I mean, the fact that you've showed up against the Bucks and you've beaten them, they've had convincing wins against them. And when they've lost, it's been close. It wasn't this blowout. I remember the one time they lost was when first of all it was a no call because it was an inbound pass. Jimmy Butler caught it, got knocked in the head by Giannis, and then it was called for a jump ball. Now obviously we know who's winning that. A 6'8" Jimmy Butler versus 6'11" Giannis. Obviously Giannis is going to win that. And Giannis just throws it down the court and then Drew Holiday just has a wide open layup and then they win the game by, 1 or 2 points. But I really think that it looks like they've bounced back from this altercation between Udonis Haslem and Jimmy Butler, and I think they could take it to all the way to the finals.
All right, and I'm gonna, besides the Bucks, man. In my heart, I want a team like my team like Toronto to get there. But besides the Bucks, Miami should be able to go to the finals because their bench has been playing pretty well. Even all after all I've said about them, I believe they still have a chance to fix things and get it together and go far. And a Pete Bucks matchup is gonna be fire. Again, for the past 2 years, it's been they've been having a good playoff series matchups. But in my heart of hearts, which team is in my opinion, I'm gonna ask this question for both you, Justin and Jake. You could chip in too as well. Which team is? I'm gonna say just for the East. Which team do you feel is a big wild card team, a team that's in between that could like come out of nowhere and make it far out of nowhere? Like, which team do you guys think?
I'll start. The big wild card in the East, I don't see really in the year conference being too many wild cards, but in the East, I'm gonna hate myself for this. I think the tops. You can look at the tops. I think Miami, Milwaukee are head and shoulders above everybody. Then you got Philly, who's just kind of there. Boston's there. If we talk about Rob Williams, we already talk about we don't trust Chicago. Maybe Toronto. I don't know. They could probably use another piece to your Raptors, though. They look like they'll be at least the sixth team in the East and the fifth team. I'm actually gonna say the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't expect them to make it too far. They'll look like they'll be in the play-ins. I think they come out of the play-ins probably as at least the 8 seed, if not the 7. They're gonna have a tough first round matchup. They might play like Milwaukee or someone. So I don't think they come out of the first round. But if there's any team, I think it's them. They've fallen off since the beginning of the year, but they do have a really good team. Losing Jared Allen has hurt. But if you can get him back for the playoffs and you have a healthy Colin Sexton with Darius Garland and Evan Mobley, the rookie year he's had, Laurie Marketing healthy, if they can get healthy for the playoffs, that could be a team that maybe, at the very least, maybe could be like a tough 7 seed. So that's what I'll say is my wild card.
All right, Justin.
Yeah, I'm just glad everywhere today. It's my wild card team. Yeah, I'm gonna say Cleveland. I like the way Cleveland's playing. I mean, this is a team that's in the play-ins as of right now, but I think they could come out of it. And Evan Mobley's a rookie of the year. Darius Garland's been playing well, especially without Colin Sexton there. They've all really held their own. And I think they could. I don't think they make it incredibly far, but I could see the semis.
It's funny. I think I'm gonna go with Cleveland for some weird reason. That suspiciously, I don't know why, but really, they don't really. Quite frankly, to oppose your guys' argument, they don't really have much of a good record against the big teams as opposed to Toronto. When Toronto faces Miami or their season series, I believe they're tied 2-2. They have beaten Chicago when they were a top tier team. They've beaten Brooklyn, whether KD or Kyrie or not. They have beaten Brooklyn. They've beaten Milwaukee. They've beaten Philly. So they've beaten teams that are ahead of them. The team that they've struggled with, and sometimes they don't play down. They play down to their competition. But the team that they have struggled with, to be honest, is Cleveland. That's a team they have struggled with, Cleveland and Atlanta, who's currently the 8th. So, and we're currently facing them right now, and hopefully we get dub. But I just have them because they have the potential of doing, and they have probably one of the best coaches in the Eastern Conference. So
Yeah, that's going to be very interesting, the NBA playoffs. But we're gonna move on to the National Hockey League.
Yep.
Kallie, take it away.
Yeah, so there's a pretty big playoff push happening in the NHL right now. The Florida Panthers have already clinched a spot in the playoffs, following trying to get themselves a spot into the playoffs is Colorado, the Avalanche. They're number one in the league right now. The Carolina Hurricanes, the Toronto Maple Leafs, my favorite, the New York Rangers.
well.
I love my Rangers.
Islanders. I'm playing.
And the Boston Bruins are all making a playoff push. So we'll see where the playoffs go as the season wraps up. Some pretty big, kind of important news happening. Ryan Getzlaf announcing his retirement at the end of this season. What do you think the future will look like for Anaheim following his retirement?
He's been a staple there for a long time. He's had a great career there. I believe he is their all-time leading scorer. Ducks made a lot of moves at the deadline. They moved Rickard Rakell. They moved Hampus Lindholm was moved. They moved a lot of guys. They got back a lot of draft picks and a lot of young players and a lot of prospects. I think the future looks bright over there in Anaheim. They're going to definitely be going to a full-on rebuild now. But I do think the future is bright. They're going to struggle for a couple of years, but they got some young guys who I think are very talented, such as Troy Terry, who's having a fantastic season.
Ryan, I believe it's like the same situation as the Kyle situation, but Larry didn't retire, but with him, he's gonna have a monument behind that arena, for what he's done for that team, and he's a great scoring forward, Ryan, I feel like he's been a good teammate, for the past years that he's been playing, and I feel like with him being gone, I feel like he's still laid a foundation for the team, with him being gone. So I feel like the future for Anaheim, I feel like I still feel like they're gonna find a way to survive and find players that are like him that are ready to embrace the challenge that's coming to them for that team, But yeah, I feel like he's had a great career, and I've seen him play, and he makes a huge impact, and it's a big loss, but I feel like they'll find a way to overcome it.
Yeah, Jake, I know you mentioned Anaheim has a lot of good young players. One of the players that sticks out to me is Trevor Zegras. I don't know if you saw his amazing Michigan goal.
He did it again
around his teammate. That was amazing, and I think he's gonna be a very big part for Anaheim in the near future, and I think he's really gonna grow as a player and become, a big part of their team.
For sure. Him and Troy Terry are the two guys they got to build around, and the goalie John Gibson I think is next to goalie as well.
Yeah. Another player that's really sticking out, my man Chris Kreider.
Yes.
He set the record for power play goals for the Rangers in a season. He has 47 goals this season, 25 of them being power play goals. He passed Jaromir Jagr for the Rangers single season record, which is just crazy. He has a chance to break the all-time record, 4 goals in a season for the Rangers. The highest right now is 50, and he's at 47. Still with about 15 games left in the season, so I think he has a pretty good chance of getting there.
It looks like he is. We always knew this guy had 40-goal talent. When he first came up, we thought this guy's going to score 40 goals multiple times. And then just first few years, he wasn't a bad player. He was like a good second-line guy. But he was like, all right, it was a 20 to 25 goal guy. He was almost a little disappointing. And then a couple years ago, going to last year of his contract, looked like he was going to be traded because they were in a rebuild. He went out and he had a breakout year. He had like 28, 30, 32 goal a year, whatever he had. And like, all right, he's starting to realize his full potential. Well, let's extend him. And then last year he had a 30-goal year. And this year he finally found that not only is that 40-goal potential, he's going to have 50. He's got, like you said, he's got 47 right now. We got 14, 15, 13, whatever games left. He's going to have 50, 52, 55 goals. He's had an incredible year. He won't win MVP, obviously, but he's, like, briefly in the conversation. He'll have I think he's like third or fourth in the league in goal. I think Matthews has 54. I think Draisaitl's got like 50. McDavid's got like 50 or 51. And I think he's number 4 right now with 47. And he's had an incredible season. He's honestly been the Rangers' best player this year, and he's just been fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. And I think him on a line with, I believe right now it's Panarin and Vetrano. He's really playing well on the line with them too.
Obviously, you got Panarin, who might be the best passer in all of hockey. The guy's just a beast. He's got 82 points this year. He's got over 60 assists. The guy is just an absolute magician. Probably the best free agent signing Rangers have ever made. Obviously, Mark Messier was a trade, and I think he's maybe even more of an impact than Jaromir Jagr did. And Frank Vetrano's been a really good piece. He's played really well since he came here. He's been a good piece. He just fits on that line. And yeah, Rangers are playing great right now. They're 4th in the East, and if they beat the Devils tonight, they were up 2-1 going into the second period. I'm not sure.
They won.
They did win.
Yep,
okay, so I believe that
won.
puts them a point ahead of Toronto. It puts them in 3rd in the East, and I think they're only 2 points behind Carolina in the Metro. So they're sitting pretty right now. May end up playing Pittsburgh in the first round, which would be tough, but I think they can get past them, and we'll see what happens in the second round. But they are looking very good right now. I'm very happy from what I've seen this year.
Yeah, me too. Despite big things happening in the NHL, there are also some pretty big things happening in the NCAA for Sacred Heart. Pretty exciting news. A grad student, Dakota Rabb, actually signed with the Utah Grizzlies this week in the ECHL. And I think that's pretty interesting. It gives Sacred Heart a really good name. And I think it's going to do a lot for, our school.
Drafted professionally, that's a big deal. Like, same situation with the running back
Juju
Chestnut,
mm-hmm.
and this helps Sacred Heart at the end of the day. Professionally, like, for them to be there, be a team, to be a college where people could look at, this player is a good quality player. From that team, despite the conference being weak, he's a good quality player, and he should be part of our organization, and that really helps a lot. Not just for football, but then for hockey. So it works out pretty well.
Yeah, he had an amazing season this year, and last year he was in the 2020-2021 season. He played in 15 games. He had 1 goal and 3 assists. But he did block 11 shots and ended with a +2. So it was a pretty good season for him, I would say. He had an assist against Minnesota in the Big Ten semifinal as well. So I think those are some pretty good stats, and I think, he's going to be a really good. I think he's a really big addition to this, to the sport as a whole, and I think he's gonna go far.
Yeah, it's always impressive when someone from a low conference like this, like Juju, like Rab, and going to the ECHL, is able to possibly make it to the pros. We got a really good hockey program here. That might be our best team, honestly. Everyone talks about football and baseball and basketball. Our football team is very good, but like you said, Kenley, earlier, when they play out of conference, they struggle. Baseball has had a tough year. Basketball had a tough year, but hockey, every year in, year out, they're always very good. In fact, they're usually around the top 25. The country they can compete with the top teams like Yale and teams like that. Not about win, but they can at least compete, and they can get a win once in a while against those teams. So. Good for him, and best of luck to him.
Yeah, so, and then just, an update on the 2022 Frozen Four. Semifinals, we have University of Michigan and University of Denver this Thursday at 5 o'clock. So we'll see who ends up getting to the finals. And then, the other game is University of Minnesota versus Minnesota State. So I think that's going to be a really big game, considering I think they're pretty big rivals.
Yeah.
So that's also this Thursday at 8:30. So we'll see where these teams go and who ends up in the finals and who wins and what happens.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting.
Michigan needs to win. Their football team was like the top 4 team in the country this year, but they got smacked in the by Georgia in the college football playoff. Not even competitive. Their basketball team should not have even made a tournament. They got very lucky, and then they had a little Cinderella run to the Sweet 16. They need some help. They need a legit team, and hopefully the University of Michigan hockey team can maybe win that championship. But they got an excellent hockey program there, so we'll see. And Minnesota's an excellent team as well, and obviously it's a big rivalry game. So we'll see what happens in the Frozen Four with college hockey.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's all we got for you guys today. Thank you so much for everyone.
Thank you guys, man.
Thank you.
For everyone who tuned in. I'm Jake. We got Kallie. We got Kenley. We got Justin in the back. Justin killed in the back. He's doing camera. He's doing audio board. He's sliding back and forth in his chair.
He's a one-man army.
He really is a one-man army. He's working up a sweat. The three of us are just sitting here and chilling and talking. And he's going back and forth. And he's adding things to our conversations. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to you three for being here. Thank you to everyone who listened. And so long until next time.
All right.